G'day guys, my name's Dave Tran and welcome to another Guitar Zero to Hero song tutorial. And by request, today I'll be teaching you how to play One by Ed Sheeran. So here at Guitar Zero to Hero, I like to give you guys options. So that's why in this video, I'm going to give you two different ways of playing this song. The first way is in standard tuning and is just easy strummed chords. And the second way is the studio recorded version in DADGAD tuning. The second method is a little trickier, but it's how Ed Sheeran actually plays it. So if you want to master your chords back to front, be sure to head over to guitarzerotohero.com to pick up my free guitar ebook. Now let's start with the easy strummed version, and as I mentioned before, standard tuning, no capo. Now let's learn the strumming pattern that we're going to use basically throughout the whole song, which is really great. So the strumming pattern goes like this: down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And in succession, the strumming pattern sounds like this: down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. Now that we've established the strumming pattern, let's jump into the verse. And we have 6 chords here. We start with a D, and then we have another D, and then we have an A chord. Now I like to play this A chord by just barring my index finger across the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings on the 2nd fret, like that. And then our 3rd chord is a B minor, and then we have a G, and finally we end on a D. Now you'll see that these chords are contained within brackets, and one set of brackets just means one strumming pattern. So the first D is played for one strumming pattern, and then we have D to the A, and that's contained within another strumming pattern. Now the point at which you're going to change chords from that D to that A within the one strumming pattern is on the second last down strum. So that transition will sound like this: down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And then we move on to our B minor. And the B minor to the G is exactly the same in terms of our transition and where we change chords. And that's contained within one strumming pattern, which sounds like this: down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. So in total, our verse progression will sound like this: down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, Now those 2 chords I've highlighted up here are just passing chords, so if they are giving you trouble, you can just cut them out and play that 2nd D for a full strumming pattern and that B minor for a full strumming pattern if you wanted to as well. Next we get to our pre-chorus, and we just have 5 chords here. We start with our A chord for one full strumming pattern, G for one full strumming pattern, then we go to an E minor for one full strumming pattern, and then we have a G and an A. And those 2 chords are within one strumming pattern. But the point at which we're changing from the G to the A is different to what we had in the verse. We're now going to change from this to this on the 3rd down strum of the strumming pattern, which sounds like this: down, up, down, up, down, 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 down. So in total, the pre-chorus will sound like this. Next we get to the chorus, and we have 2 lines of chords here. Again, we're maintaining this same strumming pattern throughout the song, which is great. So we have a D chord and then another D chord, so that D is played for 2 strumming patterns. Then we have an A/C sharp. To play that, we have our regular A, and then you're going to take your ring finger and put it on the 4th fret of the 5th string. And you're strumming that chord from the 5th string onwards. You don't want to hit the open 6th string. So that's A/C sharp, and we're strumming that for 2 strumming patterns as well. Then our second line is just B minor, G, A, and then G and A within their own strumming pattern, similar to what we had in the pre-chorus, where you change chords on the 3rd down strum. So in total, the chorus will just sound like this. After the first chorus, there's a short break, and it's just the D chord for 2 strumming patterns, which is really nice and easy. Next we get to bridge part 1, and bridge part 1 has 2 lines of chords. We start with the G for 1 strumming pattern, D for 1 strumming pattern, A for 1 strumming pattern, and then we have A to B minor. And that B minor is a passing chord, and it's similar to what we had in the verse. So it's just the last 3 strums of the strumming pattern where we change on the second last down strum. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, like that. And then the second line of chords is almost identical, except we don't go to this B minor at the end. Our last A chord is just shortened. It's just down, up, down, and then we let it ring out. So bridge part 1 in total will sound like this. Now for bridge part 2, there's 2 lines of chords. Our first line of chords goes B minor, and then G, and then D. Now the B minor and the G are held out for 2 beats each, and then the D is held out for 4 whole beats. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you're going to play that first line through 3 times, and then the second line is B minor, and then A, and then G. Now that G is held out for 8 beats instead of 4. It's held out a little longer, and then we have a final chorus which finishes the song. So in total, bridge part 2 just sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, So that's it for the easy version, and I'll have a playthrough of that at the end of this video. Alright, so onto the studio version. Now you won't need a capo, but you will need to detune your guitar to DADGAD tuning. So that's D, A, D, G, A, D. So our low E string goes down to a D. Our A stays the same. Our D stays the same. Our G stays the same as well. Our B string goes to an A. And then our high E string goes to a D. And that's DADGAD tuning, which is what we need for the studio version. Now I will note that when Ed Sheeran plays this live, you might see him use a capo on the 2nd fret. But all the chord shapes that he plays are relative to the capo, and they're exactly the same as what I'm going to teach you. Alright, let's start with a little intro that's at the start of the song. Index finger on the 11th fret of the 3rd string. Now we're pinching the 3rd and 6th string at the same time. And then with your middle finger, you'll hammer on and pull off on the 12th fret of the 3rd string. And then you go down to the 9th fret, pluck that, and slide down to the 7th fret and hold that there. After that, we're going to pluck the 3rd string again on the 7th fret and hammer on to the 9th fret. And then you just slide that note up to the 11th fret. You only needed to pluck it once though. Like that. And the intro sounds like this. Alright, now we get into the verse, and we just have one line of tab here, which is really easy. I'll just be focusing firstly on the finger picking pattern, because once you learn this, then you can just basically repeat it over and over, and it'll apply to all the different chord shapes we're playing. The finger picking rules will remain the same throughout the song, but just the positioning of your fretting hand will change. So let's focus on the first bar of this verse. And we're basing this around what I'm going to call the D shape in this tuning. And we just need our ring finger on the 11th fret of the 3rd string. and that's it. And for our finger picking rules, our thumb will take care of the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings, and our index finger will play the 3rd string. Throughout this whole song, it's really just the thumb and the index finger going back and forth. Now for the finger picking pattern, we're going to break this up into 3 smaller chunks, so it's more easy to digest and memorize. Now the first chunk is going to be the bass note of whatever chord shape we're playing, and for this particular chord shape, it's just the open 6th string. Then we go 3rd string, 4th string, 3rd string. Like that. Now our second chunk is exactly the same as the first chunk. It's just repeated, and it starts immediately after the first. So if you join them two together, it sounds like this. And then our final chunk differs a little bit. We're hitting the bass note of whatever shape we're playing, and then the 4th string, and then the 3rd string. So it's just 3 plucks in this last chunk. And once you stitch them all together, it sounds like this. And one more time. Now you can think of this picking pattern as just another version of the strumming pattern that we had in the easy version, which goes down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, where all the down strums are with your thumb and all the up strums are with your index finger. But in this case, they're just plucks. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, and faster. Down, down, up. And that is our typical finger picking pattern, which just gets played throughout the whole song, which is really nice and easy. Now I will note that when Ed Sheeran does this, he doesn't actually go to the 4th string a lot. He just stays on the bass note of the chord as opposed to going from the bass note and the 4th string. So he goes down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And that's another option for you too. If you want to really simplify it, then just alternate between the bass note of whatever chord we're playing and the 3rd string. But because this is the studio version I'm teaching, I will go to the 4th string here in this finger picking pattern. So now that we've established our finger picking pattern, the rest of this song is going to be really easy. So for the verse, the first bar is just that D shape we have. Now moving on to the second bar, we remain on this D shape, but on the 3rd small chunk of this finger picking pattern, we need to change chord shapes. Now our next chord shape is what I'm going to call an A for this tuning. All you need to do is have your index finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string and middle finger on the 7th fret of the 6th string. And that is only played for the 3rd small chunk of the finger picking pattern. So the down, down, up. So the second bar in total. And then for our 3rd bar, we move up to what I'm going to call the B minor shape for this tuning. So from our A position, you just slide your index finger up 1 fret to the 7th. Ring finger now goes on the 9th fret of the 6th string. For this finger picking pattern, we're on this B minor shape for the first 2 small chunks. But then we move down to what I'm going to call the G shape. Now that's the same as the A shape, just 2 frets down, so on 5th fret and 4th fret. And we play that in the last 3 plucks. So the 3rd bar. And then we end the 4th bar by just playing this D shape for 1 full picking pattern. And that's it for the verse, really nice and easy. Notice how the finger picking pattern just remains the same. We're just swapping between different chord shapes throughout. And in total, the verse will sound like. Now the great thing about this tuning is that you can interchange the finger picking with the strumming pattern that I taught you in the easy version. So instead of using the finger picking, we can just strum the chords like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, down. And you'll notice that those chord shapes sound really beautiful with this tuning. Next we get to the pre-chorus, and we start with an A shape like this for one full picking pattern. Then we go down to the G shape for one full picking pattern. And then next we have an E minor shape for this tuning. So to play that, you'll have your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 6th string and your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And we just play that shape for one full picking pattern, which will sound like this. And then for our 4th bar, we have our G shape up to our A shape within one picking pattern. Now the G is just played for the first chunk of the picking pattern, and the rest is up at the A, which will sound like this. And in total, the pre-chorus will sound like this. As I mentioned for the verse, you can just strum these chord shapes as well, as opposed to fingerpick them, and they'll sound great. So the pre-chorus strummed will sound like this. Moving on, we'll get to the chorus, and this has 2 lines of tab here. We're starting with our D chord shape, like that, and we're playing this for 2 finger picking patterns, or 2 full bars. Then our next chord shape is what I'm going to call our A/C sharp, and from our D shape, all we need to do is take our middle finger and put it on the 11th fret of the 6th string. This shape is played for 2 finger picking patterns as well. Then we go down to our B minor shape, like this. We play that for 1 picking pattern. We go down to the G for 1 picking pattern, back up to the A for 1 finger picking pattern, and then for our final bar in this chorus, we have the G chord shape to the A chord shape. And this is similar to the last bar of the pre-chorus. So you just play this G for the first chunk of the finger picking pattern, and then move up to the A for the rest of it. So in total, the chorus will sound like this. And of course, you can just use the strumming pattern instead of the finger picking pattern, which will sound like this. Next we get to the bridge, and the bridge just has 2 lines of tab here. We start with our G shape for 1 picking pattern, D for 1 full picking pattern, then the A for 1 full picking pattern, and then for the 4th bar we play this A shape for our first 2 chunks of the picking pattern, and then the last chunk is played with the B minor shape. So the last bar will sound like this. And then the second line of tabs is almost identical, except for this last bar, we're playing this A shape for just 1 chunk of that picking pattern, and then ending on the bass note, so it sounds like this. And then we hold that out. So in total, the first part of the bridge will sound like this. of course you can strum these chord shapes as opposed to fingerpick them in this tuning, which will sound like this. For bridge part 2, we have 2 lines of chords, which is similar to what I taught you in the easy version, except our chord shapes are different now because our tuning is different. So for this tuning, we start with a B minor like that, then we go to a G, and then we end on a D. Now this particular D, we just need our index finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, like that. Now remember, the first 2 chords are held out for 2 beats and the last chord is held out for 4 beats. And we repeat that first line 3 times. And our second line of chords is our B minor, and then we go to the A, and then we end on the G. And the G is held out for 8 beats. So for this tuning, this is what bridge part 2 will sound like. 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, So now I'm going to be doing 2 playthroughs. The first one's the easy version, the second one is the studio version, but I'm going to mix up the fingerpicking parts and the strumming parts so you can see how you can use both for the song. There'll be a vocal track on top for some context. Feel free to play these back as many times as you'd like to practice play along to and see how you go.
I'm stumbling home as drunk as I have ever been, and I'll never leave again, 'cause you are the only one, and all my friends have gone to find another place to let their hearts collide. Just promise me you'll always be a friend, 'cause you are the only one.
Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. Be sure to head over to guitarzerotohero.com to pick up my free guitar ebook. I've also started a second YouTube channel called Guitar Zero to Hero Express, where I just upload these annotated covers for you to practice along with. So be sure to subscribe to that, follow me on Instagram, leave your thoughts, comments, questions and requests down below. I'll see you guys next time on Guitar Zero to Hero. Cheers.